Buenas tardes. Herbert, ¿cómo están?
Hi.
¿Cómo están? Hello, everyone.
Hey everybody, welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, America. How is everybody? ¿Cómo estamos?
Muy bien, muy preocupado, very worried.
Mordiéndonos las uñas, ¿verdad? Pues bienvenidos al show de Mimi y Vane aquí en el True Channel. Ahora estamos aquí con nuestro amigo Herbert HWE. Nos está con nosotros. ¿Desde dónde estás? A ver, ¿en dónde estás localizado ahorita? Herbert, El Salvador.
So Herbert is calling from is patching in from El Salvador. I don't know if he can hear us. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties, but it's
the whole country's having technical difficulties.
That's right. Yes, to be expected. Yep, we're getting swallowed up with the crazy.
Yeah.
So he'll log on, I'm sure, in just a minute. We have so much to talk about, Vanessa. How is it going with you? How did you survive the night?
But kind of, sort of. It was the husband's birthday, so we went out to eat for a little while and got a little distracted there, and then back home. And actually, we were outside eating, because of quarantine, and so we're outside eating. And then he had his phone out, and my son had my phone, and they were like, "Oh my gosh!" And my son thought that todas las proyecciones de What If eran verdaderas. Y le dije, no, esto es a lo mejor sí pasa. Eso no quiere decir que it's a hypothesis, it's just like a what if. So I told them, but they were both, and I said, finally, they were getting so stressed out that I said, got to put the phones away.
Yes.
Y hasta que se calmaron, pero estaban ahí, y mi hijo de 12 años, o sea, también, y también el de 7 años estaba, mamá, ¿qué está pasando? ¿Cuántos votos electorales tiene el presidente a comparación de Biden? Y ya sabes, estaba la noche muy exitosa, y no me dormí hasta como la 1 de la mañana, y hasta que dije, bueno, pues va a ver mañana a ver qué va a pasar, y despertar a lo mismo casi, ¿verdad? ¿Qué piensas?
Sí, a lo mismo. Y primero quiero saludar a Aide de la Cruz de West Palm Beach. Hello, buenas tardes. Thank you so much for joining us. Mm-hmm. We love to get the interaction of the audience. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
I have friends in media and who are on the Trump campaign. We both do, actually. And it's very it's just tense, very tense, because there has been a lot of discussion about the fraud, the potential fraud. And as we know, the left has advocated for doing whatever it takes to win this election. And we've heard it from people such as Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris herself that they will do whatever it takes to win. Now, you and I know that we both teach our children to do our very best and to not quit. But there's a difference between doing our very best and cheating.
Right.
So, my son goes, you know what? Or my daughter says, once you're caught cheating, you're done. You're disqualified. You should just be disqualified. So that's what's happening with some of these overnight mysterious ballots that are just showing up and just so happen to all be in favor of Biden, then therefore turning an entire state over to the Democratic Party. And that is very suspicious.
Yeah, it is very suspicious. I think that when Obama won, cuando ganó Obama, pues alguna gente se deprimió, pero no dijimos, ay, chapuceros, ay, hicieron, trampa o lo que sea. And, you lose, you take it like a champ. You win, you lose. That's how it is. Pero esto está un poco está triste la situación, está muy rara. It's a lot of shady stuff there's a lot of shady stuff that's going on. And you would think that they would just take it for what it is. And they have fought everything. They've tried to impeach him. They had the thing with Russia. I mean, it's like, are you kidding me?
Another thing.
But I know that there's an announcement that's coming up pretty soon here, but I want to go ahead and, hi, Courtney Fawcett from Triangle, Virginia. Hey, Courtney, what is going on in Virginia? I used to live there, and I have some friends that were saying that they feel like there's some stuff over there that's going on that's just not sitting right with them in their heart. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on in your state and in your county? I used to actually live in Fredericksburg, which is like Spotsy County borderline. So yeah, drop us a line, let us know qué es lo que está pasando y para informar aquí a la gente.
Yeah, so we're going to keep, like you said, there's going to be an announcement made. And as soon as that happens, just let me know and I'll stop talking. Yeah. But with other things, oh, Williams, ¿cómo estás, Williams? Say hi. Wonderful
sí.
to meet you.
Williams, sí, ¿cómo estás? ¿Verdad? Aquí estamos orando todavía, declarando la victoria para presidente Trump, porque sabemos que ya está marcado y nomás estamos esperando. Es ahorita una ventanita de fe y de sostener nuestra fe y pues hasta el final, ¿verdad?
So right now, I know that everybody wants to talk about the president and what's going on, and unfortunately, we just have to wait till the final votes are being counted. And we are looking really good. There's two things I wanted to talk about really quick before I move on to California, where you and I are from, and Williams is from California as well. But when we talk about states like Arizona, there was such a move towards, they talk about the red tide and the red wave. And there was such a move, a positive response to President Trump. And the media, once again, started calling elections before the polls were even closed and way before all of the ballots were even had been counted. So the media, once again, is driving this ship and causing this stress and this mayhem that we're seeing across, and which is really fueling the left once again to act out. You saw a lot of the people maybe down in DC that they were already reacting aggressively out in public. Herbert, did you see any of the activity in Washington?
Hi, how are you? First of all, thank you for having me on the show, Vane and Michelle. Always a pleasure to be here. And yeah, I have been watching videos from all across the country. Tensions are definitely rising in some parts of the country, like Washington, D.C., Oregon, New York. You see videos of protesters that are already starting to clash on the streets. It's very concerning because this means that if we were to legitimately discover that voter fraud was committed last night, and we oppose it, we fight it, and we win, they're not going to give in to that. They're going to accuse us of doing the fraud. And they're going to take the streets, and they're going to burn everything down, and they're going to be completely financed by the same globalist institutions that have been financing them for the past 4 years. Yeah. So dark times are coming right now in the near future for America, regardless if we win or lose. And we need to be very close to God and pray harder than we ever have before, to be honest.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's important. While we do see darkness at hand, but we always have to remember, and I don't mean to negate the fight that we face, but I also want to remind those of us who are strong in our faith to know that God is always the victor. We are always the victors, and we need to remember to keep that stance, right? We always never have to forfeit. We never back down, and we never lose hope. So that's something that I really want the people to remember, that we have to continue to hold on to that faith, because we will triumph in the end.
Yeah, I know. And listen to Daniel Jimenez. Daniel Jimenez, where are you watching from? He says, I believe God has the power to turn this around. Hopefully it's His will. Coti Gavidia dice, estamos declarando su victoria porque Dios lo dispuso así. Cristi Colato dice, Trump will win. Williams otra vez dice, incredible what is happening right now, and the media is totally silent. Arizona already reported fraudulent situations. We know someone, we won't mention their name, but we do know somebody in Arizona that was saying that there's still so many votes that need to be counted. How could you have made a call on a state when there are still so many votes that have not been accounted for? I went to vote yesterday. They made me fill out this paper, and I think they made me verify like my identity, right? And it was like hawks. They were so. But then someone else I know went, no paper and no ID, and I'm like, really? Same place.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. And I don't know if you saw last night, even conservative news networks, I don't want to mention any names, but even conservative news networks were giving the win for Biden in certain states. They were calling Virginia for Joe Biden when it was only 2% in. And Donald Trump had a massive lead. 2% in, Trump had a lead, call it for Biden. How's that work? And we saw that in a bunch of other states as well. And surprisingly, Florida did a great job with the elections, in my opinion, because despite a few congressional candidates, even personal friends of mine who didn't win in counties like West Palm Beach, we saw that the election in Florida was undisturbed. You didn't hear what you're hearing all over the nation, that people were given Sharpies to vote, to invalidate their votes, that voter ID wasn't asked for. I voted absentee from El Salvador, which is where I'm currently located at the moment. And the process was very strict. It was easy, but it was very strict. They verified my information. They asked me for an ID. It was very, very well held. So props to Governor Ron DeSantis, I'll tell you that.
Right. Right, and you mentioned that, which is something I was saying earlier, is that the media was the one to call these shots. They have no authority, yet they're out there calling these shots as if they're the final word, and they're definitely not. That's a good point.
Correct, and they're still doing it. Like, for example, right now, also Silicon Valley. If you go on Google to see the election results, you see Biden has 248 electoral votes, and Trump 214, and they're still not calling Georgia and North Carolina for Trump, despite being an obvious victory for Donald Trump.
Yeah, you can't trust those sources. I've actually had to pull up, the U.S. House of Representatives for California to find the results. And if we can transfer over just for a second, because we do have some California, some in the audience here, there are a lot of races such as Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and Maxine Waters. They were all up for re-election. And do you know that each one of them got at least 70% of the vote? Wow. That is so disturbing.
Oh, I don't know where she went.
No problem. That's okay. Come back.
Oh, there you are. There you are, Michelle. There you are. There you are.
Welcome back, Michelle.
So go ahead, girl. What were you saying?
Just that it's astonishing. California is so blue that it just makes my stomach turn, that these people at 70% would bring back the same leadership that has just deteriorated, caused our state to deteriorate, such as in San Francisco and in LA, and yet by 70% of the vote, they are voted back in. Those three specifically, as you know, Joe Collins was up against Maxine Waters, and he only got 22% of the vote. Wow. And it's just a shame that so many in California would continue to vote for these people to govern us this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's amazing. It's amazing. I know there were some other races we're following over here in San Diego. We can get to those too. H, go ahead and say what you were going to say.
I was going to mention that what Michelle mentions is true. It's really concerning what you see in California happening, that people keep voting in great majority for these politicians who are destroying their state. But now the question is, are they really voting for them, or is there some kind of electoral fraud going on in these states? Because if you go back a little bit, go back to the Reagan era, California used to go red. A lot of California counties go red. So what exactly is going on here? Are the elections secure in California? I hear they're not. I hear what you mentioned, Vanessa, that a lot of people, they go and vote and they don't even get asked for an ID. They could be a tourist giving someone else's information and vote. So how do we have secure elections like that? We can't.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing. And how do you keep track, of all of that? At the end of the day, I think that we just have to kind of hold on to our seats and see what happens and do everything that we can do. It's like I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, we just have to trust the process. We have to trust the system. But unfortunately, that's not something I feel confident in saying. But I don't trust the system. And, there's been so much corruption, so much fraud, even beginning with like the postal services that were finding people getting rid of ballots and throwing them away and this Trump ballots. And so I don't know how far this is going to go, how it's going to end. I do know that there have been some prophecies that have, spoken about Donald Trump, winning this election, again, being a two-term president. And so for us in the faith community, we're like, but God's word, but the prophecy of God says this. And so it's really, I can tell you, for me, it's really testing my faith. It's really stretching my faith. And at the end of the day, I know that this is going to be really deep. We're getting the way paid for the Antichrist. And what has to happen in order for that to take place. But yeah, this has been monumental. I mean, look at all the momentum that the president has had all over the world. Canciones de salsa, canciones de grupos en cubanos, de lo que sea. Y cómo tú puedes decir, ¿cómo es que está ganando este otro señor? Pedophile, Joe Biden in my ear. That's what somebody I know says. Anyway.
Pero definitivamente estoy de acuerdo que es imposible que una persona que no tenía una base, porque Joe Biden y Kamala Harris, ellos no tienen una base. Hasta el presidente Obama fue a hacer campaña por ellos y casi nadie lo llegaba a ver al presidente Obama. Y él solía llenar estadios igual que Trump, igual de grande, solía llenarlos en su época y ahora no puede ni llenar un parking lot. Ellos, en lo que Donald Trump estaba ocupado haciendo rallies, bailando YMCA y todos los supporters ahí con sus MAGA hats, detrás de las escenas, behind the scenes, los demócratas estaban planeando el fraude que iban a cometer. Estoy seguro que ha habido un fraude a nivel nacional y esa idea no la cambio por nada. Pero les voy a decir algo. Esta victoria va a valer aún más la pena si logramos exponer el fraude y aún así ganar. Porque that's going to make America great again. One thing, imagine this. All right, we win a landslide victory, things stay the same. But if we win through massive voter fraud and we still win, we get through that, that's going to expose all these dark and satanic institutions that are behind our government. And it's going to destroy them once and for all. They're opening themselves up to be destroyed. So I think that this is godly purpose.
Yeah.
This is divine will, what's happening right now. We're facing a very difficult battle that we're going to win, and it's going to help us expose the evil that's within our government. I truly believe that.
Yes, I believe that too.
Amen.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Hey, and so we're on a good note here. I just wanted to kind of let you all know.
I lost you here for a minute. I can't.
Oh. In case you haven't heard, Vanessa, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
So in case you haven't heard, Dan Crenshaw won his re-election in Texas. That's always good. And then also the youngest congressman of North Carolina. I think you saw him. He was the gentleman in the wheelchair. He won, which is really exciting as well. His name is Madison Cawthorn.
Okay.
And then Mitch McConnell also won re-election, and that was a big deal because he was a really good, wise man, a man of integrity that was in the Senate. So he won re-election. And I heard someone from Maine, Susan Collins, which was a really critical seat, and that was in the upper chambers. Hi, Herbert.
Hi. Sorry, something happened.
It's okay.
Well, I was just saying that Dan Crenshaw re-won his seat, his election. Mitch McConnell did also, and I think you're familiar with the gentleman in the wheelchair, Madison Cawthorn from North Carolina.
Oh, of course, he had a great victory. Yes,
and he won as well. So those are some great, victories to celebrate. So I think that was worth mentioning.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, awesome. Armida, she says, keep praying, keep the faith. This is the fight of our lifetime. The evils of socialism and communism will not take over. our nation. This will turn on our behalf, stand on the many prophetic words that have been spoken over our president. Daniel Jimenez says California is, what did he say? It still is not counting. Right. If we are able to beat the same-sex marriage proposition, which we did by one point and the Supreme Court overturned it, that tells me we have enough conservatives in the state, but unfortunately Democrats have too much control and too much power. Isabel León dice, un fraude grandísimo. Armida Ruiz Martínez dice, he did not even really hold any rallies. How? Exactamente, esto es fraude otra vez. E Isabel, me gusta leer los comentarios porque enganchamos con nuestro público. Dice, ¿cómo dicen? De lo malo siempre sale algo bueno? Sí, ¿verdad? Que hay que positive. Amén, dice Armida Ruiz, así sea, que Dios abra todas las puertas de oscuridad y llene esas áreas de su luz. Y último, Lu Córdoba dice, Trump 2020 desde Argentina. Muchas gracias por los comentarios.
Pero algo que estaba comentando antes de tener los problemas de conexión fue que yo creo que es voluntad divina lo que está sucediendo ahorita, porque si solo hubiéramos ganado, las cosas continúan normal, como estaban. Ahora estamos ganando y batallando contra un fraude que va a exponer la corrupción que hay en el gobierno estadounidense. Y una vez expuesto, el enemigo será destruido. Así de simple. Así de simple.
Es la verdad, sabes que a veces las cosas tienen que pasar así tan fuertes para expose, para descubrir todo lo que ha tenido mucho tiempo que ha estado sucediendo and no one has done anything about it, no one has said anything. You know, there always comes the one voice, that one person that has the guts to not be afraid and say, something here is not right, and I am gonna do something about it, you know? And that's how Donald Trump has always been known. You know, they call him the bull in the China shop. And, you know, and not everything that he says is awesome, although he's a brilliant man sometimes. But he does have that.
I believe.
He has that boldness to, you know, to end the corruption and drain the swamp once and for all. Michelle?
Yeah, well, when we disturb the muddy waters, it's going to stink. And sometimes it takes somebody who's not afraid to interact that way. So, you know, I think I've stopped making excuses for his language and for his mannerisms and everything, because we've seen over the last 3.5, 4 years, the things that he has done and the exposing he has done. Let's just talk about the sex trade industry. No other president has had the guts to go in there and talk about it and actually fund it and you know, bring in the troops that are necessary and you know, designate this manpower to go in there and disrupt this trade that potentially is probably the most lucrative, you know, way of funding. It just brings in so much money, and yet he's in there willing to, like, no, this is not right and we will not stand for it. So, you know, he can have an off, you know, way of speaking or expressing himself, but the things that he does, the fruit that his tree produces is good fruit.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's very true.
And that's just one of the many things, right, Herbert?
Definitely. And you know, it's not just his task, in my opinion, to disturb the muddy waters at the moment. It's also the task of every single American, including you and me, because not everything can be done through bureaucracy. Not everything can be done through Washington. Some things the people really need to speak out and make their voice loud and clear. If evil is quick to do this, because you see Black Lives Matter, you see Antifa, they're disguised as good, positive movements, but they are not. They're evil. If they have the courage to walk out and to make their voices be heard, good Americans, godly Americans, the children of the light, they need to make their voices be heard as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And very important.
Very important. And, you know, one example that citizens can do, so here locally, one of our elections, we have a city of 2 by 2 square miles by 2 square miles. It's a very small city. and
Right.
we had elections held here. And one of the gentlemen that was running for election was the funds that were contributed to him from outside money equated to more than $100,000. Now, if
Wow.
that's not fraud, blatant fraud, I don't know what is. So again, so if you and I are citizens living in this city, we would need to stand up and say that smells incredibly suspicious, and we won't stand by. And we, instead of just letting this election happen and say, oh well, he won fair and square. It's like he might have gotten the votes, but where did that money come from, and why are we allowing that type of, you know, individual to sit and represent our small little city? Because we'll see, just like in London, for instance, and you know, Oregon and Seattle, where it turns into a cesspool of just lawlessness. So that's what will happen if we don't step out.
That is very true. And if I don't know if you saw right now in Detroit, Michigan, people are actually going to the voting centers and they're starting to protest. They're demanding that they stop counting votes after election day. And I believe that if we get through this, a new federal law should be passed in which the results for who wins are given on the night of election day. Simple as that, on election night. They have to be given on that day because people have had, Michelle, over a month to vote nationwide.
Yes.
I put my vote in like 2 weeks ago. And I made sure that it got counted and everything. People have time to do this. They don't need an extension after
Right.
election day. It is
Right.
completely unnecessary. If you're going to be counting votes until November 10th, then make November 10th election day.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, you've got till today. Today is the day. You have till 8 o'clock, and after that, closed. You're done. You missed your opportunity. Sorry. Try again next year. You
Correct.
knew when the date was. You knew when the time was. Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. I don't know. You know, again, I do know they want to just find a way to cheat, and that's unfortunate that there are so many individuals out there that don't understand that that's what's happening, and that's what they're allowing by, you know, blending the, you know, kind of just blurring the lines, really.
Yeah, from my understanding, right now there's a big battle going on for Arizona,
Yeah.
which the media was very quick to call it for Joe Biden. And if you Google it, it shows Joe Biden with a huge lead, but the Trump campaign says otherwise. And there's also a battle for Nevada. That's a very tight race. I believe 8,000 or 5,000 votes are the main difference between the two candidates. And now the question is, these people who count the votes, who's looking after them? You know, like they're basically like the fact checkers from social media. They do whatever the hell they want to do, and there's no one supervising them. And even if they did had supervisors, who supervises the supervisor? It never ends, you know. So there's
Yeah.
definitely there's definitely something fishy going on, and I believe there should be better standards nationwide to who we hire to count our elections. Because from what I see, anyone can go count votes if they want to sign up. Anyone, any person that doesn't even know about politics or how the system even works can sign up and sit there counting ballots. It's unfair. It's unfair, and it makes the elections muddied.
Yes, it does. I heard on one of the news stations yesterday that some of the processes or the election voter machines are, they come from Madrid, Spain, and I'm not sure the whole story, but that's just one of the things that you hear during elections. Like, why have these things been allowed? And if
Correct.
that's not, you know, it opens it up for more fraud. It doesn't need to be out over in Spain. It needs to be here in our backyard, and
Correct.
not, you know, with a bunch of different hands in it. Yeah, it's gotten out of hand.
They should definitely be made in America, you know. And another very important subject is that nationwide, okay, these ballots, the absentee ballots, they don't need to be counted after the in-person voting happens. They should be counted before. We should
Yeah.
start with those results to avoid anything suspicious going on. They should be extremely supervised. They should give in the results of the absentee ballots, the mail-in ballots, and then we start counting in-person ballots. That would ensure, in my opinion, a secure election Why? Because it doesn't give them a window of opportunity to manipulate the ballots, because these people are locked in there in these voting centers with boxes filled with ballots for over 24 hours. It's going to be 48 hours soon. And what the hell do we know? What are they doing? Are they replacing boxes with ballots? Are they printing out and filling out new ballots? Pennsylvania, you don't even need a postmark. So that means the ballot, you don't even need proof that the ballot came to the election center through the mail. They could just print it out there, fill it out, and count it. It's terrible what's happening, and it's truly disgraceful that in such a great nation like the United States of America, this is allowed to happen. We need federal voter ID. We need a federal law that requires voter ID for elections. Even small countries like El Salvador, where I'm in right now, you require voter ID. They require voter ID if you want to vote, and they even make you ink your thumb with this ink that you cannot remove no matter what you do. You know, like there's huge security protocols for elections, even in third world countries.
Right.
And you're telling me that America, one of the most developed countries in the world, doesn't do that? Pitiful, really. We need to change it.
Yeah, it's like that in Mexico too. So we live on the border, and we have the news station where we get stations that we're able to tune in from across the border, and they're constantly putting out commercials to remember to get your voter ID. Remember your voter ID, and it's right here on the border, and it's just it's kind of hilarious to think that you're hearing this from over there, and yet they're coming over the border most of the time illegally, and I don't want to say most of the time, but the people that come over illegally then take advantage of what it is that we have here, and it just really has muddied the waters even further in what we want to do. You've mentioned third world countries, which is something that has not been talked about very much in this whole discussion about socialism. Correct. Do you know that I've never heard anybody just bring to light that if you want to become a socialist country, you're looking at becoming a third world nation. Is there not all the third world nations are basically socialist and go hand in hand? Is that not true?
That is extremely true. And if you see the people that are fleeing to the United States, they're not coming from well-developed countries. They're coming from underdeveloped countries like my own, like El Salvador. And these demographic changes in society, these are what benefit the Democrats, because it's not really about race, it's more about situations. So they welcome in by the loads illegally people that are coming from underdeveloped countries. In other words, people they can take advantage of. They get them to vote for them under the false pretense that they're going to help them, that they're going to give them benefits. Most of these people that come in illegally, they don't even have a proper education. So I hate to say it, it's the truth. And they fall for these democratic lies. And eventually, that takes a toll on the United States of America. It takes a toll on the lawful citizens that live within the country. So it is 100% understandable to want to secure the border and only go for legal immigration. Donald Trump has never said that immigrants should not come to America. He said that they should do it legally for that very reason.
Awesome. That's a great discussion you both are having. As I have pulled up a page from Facebook that has various videos, and I'm not sure if you're interested in me actually playing one. I don't know if you can see it. I will try to I'll try to put it on solo. You can tell me. I'm going to mute myself. Hopefully we don't get an echo. But I think it's interesting because they're live right now and they are real time. So just speak to me and.
All right, I can't hear you right now, but what are we seeing here?
Which videos do you guys want me to play from here?
I can't tell. That's so small.
Which one do you want to talk about?
I can't tell what those are.
USA Today live map shows election results, live
I
election.
see that one with the polls with Trump and Biden right in the middle.
This
Top
one?
row.
ABC or live? This one?
Collateral material in polling sites all over Philadelphia. They're trying to cheat. They're trying to cheat. They have 3x5 printed big posters in polling locations all over the city saying to vote for Biden and Harris, which is totally illegal. They're passing out flyers. The supervisors of elections, we have them on video in polling sites all over Philadelphia. They're trying to cheat. They're trying to cheat. They have 3x5 printed big posters.
Okay, so that was a short clip. I guess that's just looping. Mm-hmm. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Or can you hear?
probably not. So as far as the different polls, so you know, a lot of people like to push to the line what's allowed, and a lot of people like to, what you can't do is campaign near the polls, and it looks like what's happening here is that they're trying to get the vote out for, you know, Biden and Harris right at the polls. And I think people's minds have already been made up. I really don't think that's really going to be a big, it's not going to be a deal breaker. What I think is really important is the fact that all these votes are coming in from wherever and after the deadline. I think that's the real threat.
Yeah.
Yes, there's absolutely no supervision of where these ballots are coming from, and that is a threat. And I believe that it's going to come to the Supreme Court to rule against it. That is the only way that the integrity of this election is going to be saved. It'll be up to the Supreme Court. We can win a few states here and there. We can argue the results. We can, in fact, win them back. But that will not make a difference. What will make a difference is the Supreme Court justices doing their job and telling the American people election day was November 3rd. Whatever was counted on November 3rd, those are the results of the election, period, until next year. Simple as that.
Yeah, I heard on mentioning, since you mentioned the Supreme Court, that
Yes.
I believe it was CNN, and one of their reporters was talking about how they can't trust, you know, Uncle Tom, Clarence Tom, they called him, Kavanaugh, and also now Amy Barrett Cohen, because of their stance on, you know, integrity and the Constitution. So they want them to recluse themselves. Did you hear that?
I did not hear that, but that is ridiculous. They should absolutely not recluse themselves, and Donald Trump should not concede.
No, absolutely not. No, not at all. Hey, so, you know, there's another thing I heard, which is kind of funny and didn't know this. So Andrew Jackson, our third president, apparently, when he had a standoff against his opponent, I think the opponent challenged him to a duel. And then at that time, like a real duel, like in the older days, and he got shot. Andrew Jackson actually got shot in that duel. So, yeah, so this person who was talking about that, he was reminding us that there have also been other times in history where things were bad, and you know, we got through them. So in this case, you know, we just got to remember that maybe things aren't that bad.
Maybe not. I think I truly believe, Michelle and Vane, that through the legal route, there is certainly a way for a Trump victory. I don't know if you heard that the Trump campaign just stated, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was the Trump campaign, that by Friday, President Trump should be declaring himself the winner of the election.
Oh, wow.
So we need to pray to God that that's how it is, and we need to be out there. You know, we need to be out there, and we need to support. Because if we're not out there, if we're not involved, if we're just laying back at home waiting for the TV to show us that President Trump won, it won't happen. We need to get out there and show our support physically in every state where it matters, in every county, even states where Trump has already won. Our presence needs to be shown. We need to show the American people who we voted for and that we did it by them en masse.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a really good point. So you have really brought something to my mind. Over the weekend, and it has, as it has been over the many months leading up to election, there's been rally after rally, and you've already talked about it. In numbers, people have shown up. And what you're saying and proposing is that we need to continue to show our support. It is not over till it's over. And for fear of being attacked, a lot of people, including myself, I don't don the red hat and I don't wave the little flag or put my bumper sticker. But even more so now, it's more crucial to say, no, I did support the re-election of this president, and we are out here showing our support now even more so. That's a great point.
We need the boat rallies, the car parades right now more than ever. We need to go out there and celebrate our victory already and proclaim it in the name of God. It's our victory. It's ours, and they're not going to take it away no matter what.
That's really great. I really love that. I think that brings and continues to stand on the victories of the Lord, and also to remain in that place of faith. And because we can really lose faith if we start to take our focus off of what's true and then go over to the media because we're like, oh my gosh, what do they have to say? It's like, you didn't care before. Stop caring now, really.
Yeah, and the media has really betrayed the American people. And as I mentioned, even conservative networks, they've all turned their back on President Trump. There's obviously been some sort of allegiance between all of them, and we need to be aware of that and not fall for their lies. Stop tuning in. Get out there and make sure that those votes are counted fairly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I found this video. I don't know it's live, but I want to play it. And I'll just double check over here for an echo, but let's see what's going on here.
We're cast by mail, and we've been winning.
I can't hear it on my end.
Neither can I. Come on, man.
Everybody there wrapping up the statement. Making a question there from the crowd.
Well, so he was just saying that when we are all done, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
We're all done, that there will be no red or blue states, just the United States of America. So that was the tail end of that little speech that he gave there, but I don't know anything else. I was waiting for you guys to give me that thumbs up to see if you wanted me to play it. I'm looking for the other one, Herbert, that you spoke to me about, so that we can bring it onto the broadcast. I'm not sure if we know where that link to that clip is. I did go on the link that you gave me, Michelle, and I was unable to track it down.
President Trump, if I'm not mistaken, at 3:30 was supposed to go live in Pennsylvania. The Trump campaign's already claiming victory in Pennsylvania. They think that the lead's big enough. The votes are all already in. And they want Pennsylvania to be called for President Donald Trump, just as Virginia was called for Vice President Biden when it was only 1% in. And I believe it's the fair thing to do,
Right.
Yeah, you've got a great majority of the votes in there. Trump has a huge lead. Well, what are they waiting for? For Biden to magically start winning, just like he did Wisconsin and Michigan, which is currently being debated?
Yeah.
Definitely. But
Absolutely.
honestly, I think that the fate of our nation's in a very tight rope right now, walking on a tightrope, because no matter what happens, these elections are muddied. There's been too much suspicious activity. Whoever wins, they're going to blame the other side of cheating them. And although I do believe that President Trump is actually being cheated, we know that if he wins, as I mentioned earlier, Antifa's going to take the streets, and God knows what's going to happen then.
Well, look at this video here. I don't know what this is from, but this is live.
Does it say a location?
I'm looking for it right now as I bounce back from screen to screen as I do this little production here. Let me see.
You're a great producer, Vane.
Yeah, I'm trying. Thank you. So the demonstrators gather in downtown Durham for post, and then it says see more, see less. Yeah, so that's where it's saying it's Durham, and it's ABC 11 WTVD. Mm-hmm.
Right. And I don't know if you saw those videos where people were going to the election centers, right, where they're counting the ballots, and they were boarding up the windows. They didn't want people taking video of what's going on inside. Why on earth would they do that if this is a transparent and fair election? What's on those tables in there? What can people zoom into that they don't want them to see? That is a question that we should all be making right now. Honestly, it's infuriating what's happening. Infuriating.
It is. It is infuriating. I mean, I tell you, when I went to vote, it was like I was committing a crime almost. I felt like eyes on me, and like a spirit of intimidation is what it was. It was a spirit of intimidation that I felt when I was there. And I'm not the only one. I know someone else that said that they felt the same thing when they went to.
Definitely. Yesterday, when I started my day, first. Oh, here's the video. Yeah.
Here's another one. Valley County continues at Detroit's TCF Center. So there you see everybody still counting.
Correct.
Yeah.
But as I was telling Michelle earlier, Vanessa, there should be a more strict system on who gets to work at these poll centers, because anyone can literally go there. A lot of these people, I can surely tell you that they probably don't even know how our system works. They only learn what they're instructed to do. Right. They could even be taught false information, so they don't do their job right. Mm-hmm. There should be a better vetting process for who gets to work at these polling centers nationwide.
Yeah. I'm not.
I'm sorry, Vane. I know that they need the numbers. I know that nationwide, not everyone's willing to go and do it, so they need any help they can get. That's completely understandable, and I agree with that. But there should at least be a vetting process in which, and they make sure that these people are not politically inclined. Some sort of questions they can ask to make sure that they're not going to go in there with bad intentions.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just make it more secure for the American voter in general,
Yeah. I mean, I'm not politically correct, but I'm not a fan of offending people or being judgmental, but I use my discernment. And yesterday there were some people that I'm like, you could easily put in either a BLM group or an Antifa group.
Correct.
And the person at the very front was very young, and that is the person that handed me the clipboard to fill out what I filled out at the beginning of the process. So, yeah, I agree with you on that. Have you ever been affiliated with any kind of movement or organization? Have you ever been arrested of a crime for throwing a Molotov cocktail or anything like that? I think that
or check their social media a little bit just to see what their ideology is. It doesn't mean that if they're left wing or right wing they can't work in the poll center. But as you mentioned, for all we know, right now Antifa and Black Lives Matter, the same ones that were marching and burning down shopping centers, could be the ones counting our votes. Yeah. And they probably are. They probably are.
Yeah, they probably are. I'm looking at the Dow Jones here. I don't know anything about stocks. Herbert, is that something that you know?
I'll tell you that if the market's going up, it means Trump has a good chance of getting it.
Okay, so here's
going up. So, I was with a friend yesterday at a reunion, and he was checking the market the whole night on his computer, and he tells me, look, don't listen to the polls, don't listen to CNN or Fox News, listen to the market. The market never lies, he told me. It reacts quicker than anything else.
Wow.
Yeah. Cool. I saw a post about the betting polls or something in Las Vegas, 91% favor for Trump. So you're absolutely right.
Correct. Yes. People don't play around when it comes to their money.
No, not their money. No.
Follow the money. Follow the money.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. But hopefully we're going to have an end to this to this contradicting election that we're having, and it'll be soon. In my opinion, it should end this week. No state should be allowed to count a single vote passed yesterday. But
Yeah.
if they are allowed, it should not go past this weekend. Like we need results as soon as Friday, in my opinion. As soon as today, to be honest. If they're going to play these games, no longer than Friday.
Definitivamente necesitamos esos resultados ya. Y alguna gente está diciendo que Trump tiene miedo, por eso paró que no dejó que contaran los votos ya o que siguieran contando los votos.
Yes.
Pero pues es que ya sabemos que hay otras cosas que están sucediendo como este fraude y va a salir a favor de... Sí, no, ya tenemos, yo creo que también otra cosa es que tenían miedo de que el público empezara a pues hacer el caos que hicieron la última vez, ¿verdad? Se ponen emocionales, toman y luego salen a hacer cosas que dañan a la gente y a la comunidad también. Mis hijos, yo sé que la última vez que pasaron los riots tenían mucho miedo y mamá, ¿qué vamos a hacer? Vivimos en una vecindad y es accesible, pues nomás uno se brinca la barra y es todo, ¿verdad? Lo que necesitas. Entonces sí, vamos a seguir orando, vamos a seguir predicando, profetizando la verdad que Dios tiene todo bajo su control y también vamos a ver la victoria ya muy pronto, muy pronto.
Como dijo Michelle en una oración que hicimos antes de comenzar el programa, que la luz de Dios caiga sobre toda la oscuridad que está rodeando nuestro sistema electoral y nuestro gobierno y nuestro mundo, y que exponga todo lo que se está escondiendo en esa oscuridad, que lo exponga y lo destruya, la luz de Dios, divina, santa y pura, que destruya todo el mal.
Amén, amén.
Así
Yeah.
sea.
Muy de acuerdo. Herbert, ¿cómo se puede comunicar el público contigo? ¿Dónde te pueden encontrar?
Claro. Ocupo Instagram más que nada. Acabo de abrir un Twitter ayer porque me emocioné por las elecciones, así que volví a Twitter. A little back and forth with social media. Cuando lo tengo me estresa y cuando no lo tengo me hace falta. I'm on Twitter as Herbert Eshenman. Y en Instagram estoy como HWE. And you can also follow our book's Instagram, which is Celebrating the President on Instagram, and Celebrating DJT on Twitter. Actually, if you don't mind, can I show you a copy of the book I'm talking about?
Yeah, show it to us.
Yeah, sure. I actually have my hands on it this time around. Look, it's a beautiful book. Look at the size of this thing.
Oh, that's beautiful.
These are all the achievements of President Trump. I'm actually going to try and get a copy to send to you and Vane, hopefully. And as you can see, it's a beautiful coffee table book. Mm-hmm. It has high-quality photos. It lists all of President Donald Trump's greatest accomplishments during his first term in office, during his first 4 years. It goes on for everything. You know, it talks about immigration. It talks about prison reform. It talks about the economy. It's a really beautiful book. It's a collector's item, too. It's very limited. Only a few copies have been made. So if you want one, you might as well get one as soon as possible before they sell out. And it can be found on Celebrating the President on our Instagram, Celebrating the President, and also on our website, which I think we aired the website last time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it's celebratingthepresident.com.
So it's a nice coffee table book, is that right? Real big and it's
beautiful. Yes, it's a hardcover, high quality, beautiful collector's edition coffee book, and we really hope that President Trump gets a second term because we're really looking forward to making part 2, volume 2 of this book.
Absolutely. And it's going to make a great gift. I think that would be great for the person who has everything. I have a few people in mind who are staunch supporters of the president, and
yes.
They have done a lot for him. And really, that would be a really beautiful gift, in my opinion, for somebody over Christmas.
It is beautiful. Look, as you can see, it goes from everything. Like it has chapters like securing the border, for example, and it tells what President Trump has done to better the border and immigration, everything. It really It really, and it's verified and fact checked as well, which is great. So all the sources are in there. It's undebatable. You can't be like, no, President Trump didn't do that. Yes, he did.
Does it highlight what he's done for the Black community in there?
It highlights a little bit of everything. I'll go over the little chapter over the chapters here with you if you give me a minute. All right, we have boosting the economy, creating jobs. We have promoting commerce, fueling industry, building a new America, keeping America safe, securing borders, tackling crime, improving health, cutting regulations, which has greatly improved the United States, and preserving rural America, educating the nation, and honoring the vets. And there's always we might release an updated version with like the appointment of Amy Coney Barrett and so on. But this is truly a beautiful book to have in your coffee table or in your book collection. And as I mentioned, they're very limited. They're very limited. It's a very high end thing item to obtain. And the reason we even published it was because my friend who published it, actually, I'm his spokesperson, believes that the fake news was just overwhelming. So he wanted to make like a elegant presentation for people to have, verifying all the achievements Trump has done, which are so many, more than any other president, really. We should all be proud of President Donald Trump. He's definitely a president worth celebrating. I'll tell you that.
I agree. That's going to be a great gift. So thank you for sharing that with us. I think that anybody who's out there that would like
I can't hear you, Vane.
Oh, you can't hear me.
Oh, it's okay.
There we go.
We know how to fix that problem. But no, thank you so much for sharing that. That's beautiful. Michelle was just acknowledging all the hard work and that's been put into that. It's such a timeless piece. And I think definitely, even if you are not a Trump supporter, it's always good to have a piece of history in your home of that magnitude. So
no, it's beautiful it's beautiful always to honor our presidents, regardless if we've agreed with them or not in the past, and focus on the good they've done, not on what the opposition wants us to focus on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Are you able to hear Michelle? Oh, we're at 2 o'clock. No? Okay, well, I can go ahead and, Michelle, you can go ahead and close us out. Herbert, when her mouth stops moving, that means we're done.
So thank you, Herbert, for joining us. We love to be a part of what you're doing in El Salvador. I can't wait to have you back in the States. And thank you, everybody, all of our listeners, all of our audience. We are so appreciative of you joining us and joining in the conversation. We're just really blessed by you. And Vanessa, thank you. You're an amazing producer, an amazing co-host. And thank you, everyone, again. Thank you, True Channel, especially for hosting us. God bless you. God bless America. And we'll see you next week on the Mimi and the Vane Show. God bless you, everybody. Good night. Have a good one.
Keep the hope. We're going to win. We're going to win. Vamos a ganar. No se defrauden. Okay. Adiós. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Buenas tardes.